Hey everyone, welcome to episode 5 of Cloud Conversations with Rue and Pete. I'm Rue, that's Pete. Pete, how are you?
I'm great, Rue. How are you, my good friend, my bearded partner in crime?
Yes, I'm all good. I'm even better now that I've had all the security and compliance exam results come through, so that's kind of made my day getting that news and finally finding out that that's all under the bridge and I can forget about it for another 2 years.
Amazing. Well done indeed. I'm so jealous because I've not done any of the new exams yet, and I've not had time, but I need to get to them. But I'm seeing everyone doing it on LinkedIn and Twitter, and they're lovely shiny new badges, and I want those, so I've got to get to it. But yeah, absolutely great. And we are absolutely delighted to welcome our guest on episode 5 today of Cloud Conversations with Rue and Pete. Our wonderful guest is Karoliina Kettukari.
Hello.
Welcome to you. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm awesome today.
Fantastic. It's really well. It's really lovely of you to join us today. So let's dive in and get to know you a bit better. Would you please tell us a bit about yourself? Where are you from? What do you do? And how have you got to where you are today?
Oh, awesome. So I'm Karoliina Kettukari and I'm from Finland. I'm at my kitchen at the moment because, we are all working from home for some strange reason. And I'm working as a modern work lead at a Finnish company called Medlake. And basically, everything I do revolves around Microsoft Teams and improving internal communications, developing teamwork with the help of Teams and everything you find in Microsoft 365. And how I got here today? Well, you asked me to be here. And I'm very delighted to be here today.
Good answer. Yes, we did indeed invite you here today. Brilliant answer. I love that. So I know that you absolutely love to talk about modern workplace. So would you tell us a bit about what modern workplace means to you and the difference it's made to your life on both a personal and a professional level?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting topic because a couple of years ago, we all talked about modern workplace. And then maybe during the last year, I've been talking about modern work. And the place part of the modern workplace has gone somewhere because we can do modern work anywhere we are. So not just only at the workplace, but the workplace is basically anywhere you are on your computer or your mobile devices. And I think that's a huge change in people's lives. And I think that maybe not all the organizations has even figured it out yet. So we are still in the mode of coping and thinking about, yes, now we work here in our kitchens and in our bedrooms. And what about the future? So are we working at the workplace or are we working from home? What's the a hybrid environment at work in the future? So I think that's a very interesting topic.
Absolutely. So I love that distinction as well between modern workplace and modern work. That is so good and so true. So what, in your opinion, then, would be the most relevant modern work or modern workplace trends or features at the moment?
Yeah. Well, I think the remote work is here to stay. And I think Microsoft has these super cool work trend reports. You can go and check those out. I think the newest one came just a couple of weeks ago. And also in those researches, they have found out that I think it was over 70% of people will want to continue to work at least part-time from home or part-time remotely. And when we are thinking about, for example, teamwork or efficient meetings, I think the future trend is how you can make teamwork and meetings and communications efficient and everything is running smoothly, even though some of you are at home, some of you are at the workplace. So maybe the hybrid work is the new trend in the future.
How do you? I mean, one of the things I've noticed is that Teams and maybe Zoom as well, they're kind of getting a bad reputation in a lot of circles, insofar as a lot of folk are kind of tired of it. I think everyone's tired of everything at the minute, but especially Teams and Zooms. How do you try and convert people into thinking that Teams isn't the problem, it's the way you're using it or the way that you're approaching it, and how do you then fix that for folks?
Yeah, it's not easy because technology is the easy thing to blame on. And actually, I had these workshops with one of my customers, and basically we are doing a internet project, so modern SharePoint, Viva connections, all that super cool stuff. And from those workshops, people were complaining very much about search. So search doesn't find anything.
Mhm.
And when we looked into it, the real problem actually was that the content was outdated, or there was like 5 similar pages around the same topic. And in the end, the problem was the content producers, so the humans and the people. And it's much more harder to change the people mindset and change people how they think and how they act. It's so much easier to blame that, oh, Teams is awful, I don't like Teams, I don't want to be in Teams calls. So like no magic tricks in here. It's a long run, like a marathon, ultra marathon, I would say.
Yeah, it can be kind of hard to have that conversation with someone where you're not saying that they're the problem, but they have to change their way of thinking and they have to do a little bit extra rather
Yeah.
than just saying, oh, it's the software's fault, it's the system's fault. And I guess one of the things that is me as someone who doesn't necessarily work in SharePoint and Teams all that much, when I start hearing about things such as I hear about Viva and I hear about syntax and things like that, I hear these buzzwords, but I have a hard time kind of, what would you say, translating them into how is that going to change my day? How is that going to change the way I work? How do you explain that to folks, specifically Viva or Viva, however it's pronounced? I hear a whole lot of buzz about it, but how does that translate to helping me in my work?
Yeah, that's a good question. And actually, I don't know, I call it Viva because like in Finnish we speak like that. But I don't know if it's Viva
I've
connection.
not heard anyone call it Viva. That's the first time I've heard that, I must
Oh
admit.
dear,
So.
I don't know where I pulled that from. Viva makes sense. It reminds me there used to be an Xbox game called Viva Pinata. That's a story for a different day. Anyway, digressing.
Yeah. So, for example, with Viva connections, it can be very like large topic and theme, and many of if you go and read like Microsoft blogs, it's pretty much like the marketing stuff and very American stuff and all those like hype around new products. But when you go to the customer, you can just super simply explain that you have your teams, and then above your activity button in your team in the left-hand rail, you will get this home button. And within your teams, you can click the home button and you will see your SharePoint intranet. Wow. You don't have to go to the browser anymore when you want to look your news. You can read your news directly inside Teams. And that's super simple, but huge for the end user. And that's how I explain Viva at the moment. Even though I know it's loads more, but the simplest way to go.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It seems to me that Teams is, I can't remember who it was said it. I know it was on one of the Petri Enterprise Dish podcasts where they started referring to Teams as Teams is almost like a workplace operating system where you don't have to leave that context of Teams. Do you find that folks make that shift from jumping between Outlook and To Do and Excel and SharePoint and Teams into going full in on Teams? Or do people still have to jump between all these different tools?
People have to jump between like PowerPoint and Excel, because if you try to edit your documents inside Teams, it's a mess. Yeah, you can do it, but it really doesn't work. But when we think about, for example, like some manual processes you have, it's super simple to automate those processes inside Teams with Power Automate, maybe with Power Apps. So you can maybe replace, for example, some of your Excels or some of your manual routine tasks with Power Automate and do those inside Teams. And I really, really hope we won't be needing that much email in the future, because all of our emails are messages in Teams. So yeah, having Teams as hub for everything, I think it's a real concept, but it's not suitable for everything. You have to pick your battles.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it's very early days with it, isn't it? I think it will get there for sure. And I'm very interested in picking up on a point that you made, Rue, about Teams as a platform rather than an app. I think I heard it may have been Satya Nadella himself describing Teams as that platform. Don't call it an app. And that's very much the way it's going, which is super exciting. I think there's only going to be so much more to come to enable you to work within Teams. But awesome. But changing gears just very, very slightly, I'd love to talk a little bit about the fact that you were awarded as a Microsoft MVP in 2019. So many congratulations on that, and absolutely deserved. Would you mind sharing with us a little bit about what the MVP program is, what it means to you, and what your journey was to becoming a Microsoft MVP? Oh,
yeah, of course. So basically the MVP program, when you go to the MVP website, it says very highly that it's a award for the persons who are shown exceptional leadership in the community. I find that it's nice to say, I think. Basically, for me, it's about sharing, because sharing is caring.
Yeah.
So sharing knowledge, share what you know, learn from others. And you can do it in many, many ways. You can write blogs, you can be active in tech community, you can speak at conferences. And basically, for me, the easiest or most natural thing for me was to speak at conferences. So in 2019, so many years ago, 2019, I attended my first conference, which was SharePoint Saturday London. I think now they are all collab days, so no more SharePoint Saturdays, but collab days. And I was pretty nervous because it was in London. It was like a large event, and it was my first time doing anything like that. But I had so much fun. It was super nice to prepare the presentation, because I think it's very different to prepare presentations for conferences than it's to have presentations to your customers, because the level of the knowledge is very different. So I really liked that, and then I attended to many more conferences. I joined Twitter and was active in LinkedIn, and then basically I got the award.
Oh, fantastic. And you mentioned community, and you're a very, very active member of that wider Microsoft community, which we're all part of, which is an absolutely amazing community of people. And that MVP journey that you've been on, it quite often seems to be a natural extension of the work you do in that community, and recognition of the effort that you put in, and giving back. And that's what it's all about. What does that community mean to you? How has it helped shape you and define your journey as an IT professional and help you?
I think for me, because for example, here in Finland, we are pretty limited community in Finland. We have active, for example, Teams consultants or modern workplace consultants, but we are like maybe 20, 40, 50 people. And of course, not all are active in community-wise. So having that large community all over the world, or all over Europe, has huge meaning for me personally, to gain more knowledge, to ask questions, to share ideas and thoughts. And I really like the user groups based in one country or around some topic, and where you can conversate and have discussions with other people, with the same-minded people around some topics, such as like Teams adoption or Power Apps.
Yeah, I really do need to ask, because it seems to me, outside looking in, there seems to be quite a bit of buzz about the kind of the Finnish IT and specifically Teams community, the Microsoft 365 community. I know at the last Ignite, I believe you were part of a session called #FigNight or
Yeah,
Fignite. I don't know. Again, I don't know how we're going to pronounce that, but
Ignite.
yeah, is it something in the water in Finland? What is it kind of draws such a little pocket of energy about M365 products within the country?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. I think in Finland we have, I think, 24 MVPs in total, but only a couple of us are working around Microsoft Teams. I really liked the Fignite concept because it was about five. It was five of us from different kinds of different parts of M365, Azure, Teams, etc. And all of us had our own like expertise, and we were sharing our tips and tricks how you can learn, how organizations can learn things and develop their learning. But yeah, we have a quite active people around the Teams community here in Finland, and I think because the Finland is such a small country, and we have our own language, so it's also nice to have those same-minded people within your own language, and that creates the extra buzz here in Finland around Teams and etc. But in addition to that, Finland is one of the most advanced countries when it comes to Microsoft Teams usage and being in the cloud and using all of these new modern tools and modern work. So basically we are very advanced in general ways in that as well.
And do you find that, I guess across the whole world, the whole adoption's been accelerated by COVID and the lockdowns where we're being forced to work from home? I get the perception that some countries will culturally adapt differently in the new world, insofar as hybrid is always going to be with us. More folks are going to be working from home, but maybe within the more Western Europe, that balance will shift so that more folk are in the office than working at home. Do you find that within Finland, things might change insofar as more folk will work from home than in the office? What's your feeling there? And I ask in part, I'll just jump in again. I ask in part because Finland, a lot like Scotland, famous for its climate and its culture, and I quite enjoy not having to just go to work when it's dark and come back when it's dark and never see any daylight.
Yeah, we have the same issues. Actually, personally, I don't like at all working from home. I would want to be at the office every day. And I think the point is that we have so different personalities, and organizations should let people do what they want to do. So basically, if people want to work from home, it should be okay. And organizations should offer those kind of facilities at home, like electric tables or extra monitors at home, and like good microphones at home. But when we think about hybrid work, I know it's super difficult to have like efficient workshops if part of the people are at the office in the same meeting room and then some of the attendees are remotely. It doesn't work that well. So you need to be very flexible in terms of, can you please come to the office at a certain day or a certain time of the day, and make those guidelines for your team or for the whole organization.
That makes
sense. How have you found that? Sorry, Ru, go ahead.
No, on you go, Pete. I was really just saying that, there does seem to be a kind of emerging etiquette around the usage of Teams, insofar as if you are holding workshops and things like that. I don't want to completely smear folk with a label, but if you're sitting with your camera off and you're sitting on mute and you're in a meeting for an hour, that can kind of just kill any form of developing a relationship.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Like I like to have video on, and I really want my customers to have video on as well, at least in the beginning, so you can see each other and say hello, and then maybe you can go off video if you really want to.
Yeah, definitely. You at least in the beginning, as you say, so you can put names to faces, and then if we go into presentations, you can put it off and then back on when you speak. Fantastic. So, on the subject of sort of work-to-life balance, that's a very sort of question of its time, in that we're working in pandemic life at the moment. How do you find your work-life balance has been in pre-COVID times, and how does it differ now for you? And is it something that you're good at, or do you feel you need to work on that balance?
Yeah, I've been struggling a bit because, as I said, I like to be at the office, and it's very logical for me to like wake up early, go and train at the gym in the morning, then go to the office, have my working day there, and then I'm ready. I will shut down everything and go home, and then I have my free night. But when I'm working from home, well, I'm here like 24/7, so it's very hard to stop working. And I know it's only me. Some other people like it. Some other people love working from home, and they have no difficulties with the work-life balance. But what has helped for me, for example, has been that I have made a pact with myself, a deal with myself, that for example, I don't work at the weekends. So I don't do any community stuff in the weekends if I don't have to. So I don't, for example, use LinkedIn or Twitter in the weekends, and that's helped me a lot. I have a bit of like a fear of missing out sometimes in the weekends when I open Twitter in the morning and it has like 20 notifications, but that's something that has helped me. So like no work in the weekends.
Oh, I know what you mean. Definitely. I have that same fear of missing out, that FOMO. And I try and do the same. I try and turn it off wherever I can and get that quality time with family. But then you'll go back onto Twitter and you'll see a really great conversation from some community people. And you think, oh, I've got a really great answer to that. But there's already 20 responses. And, oh, they took my answer. But
Too late.
As long as the point has been made, that is fine. That's all that counts. But it gets a bit, I can't believe I missed the opportunity to get involved in this debate. But on the subject of sort of going in and out of the office as well, have you looked at some of the new features, getting back to something you love talking about, Viva and Insights, some of the features like virtual commute? Have you tried to take advantage of any of those features to help you with that sort of balance?
I really, I'm looking forward for the Viva Insights to be in my tenant, because it's not at the moment. And I see all those like screenshots in Twitter, and I'm like, I wanted to, but yeah, not for me.
Oh, I can't believe it! I can't believe it. But I've played about with it. I should do as I say, not as I do, because I've not done it at all yet, and I need to get more organized with it. But it's absolutely brilliant, and I hope it comes into your tenant for you soon, Karoliina. I really do, because it's fantastic. But
yeah.
Okay.
I hope they will be there. But as for example, virtual reality and all those Microsoft Mesh and alt space, I don't know. I know that, for example, like Vesa Napanen here in Finland, he's super into all of that stuff.
Mr. Teams.
Yes, Mr. Teams. Hi, Vesku.
Hey, Vesku.
But I don't know. We actually just talked about with Vesku this morning about Teams Nation, and we have the alt space VR party after the conference, and I was like, I don't know if it's my thing. So I may be the slow person in here. Maybe I will be into virtual reality like in 2 years when it's mainstream.
I was the same. I didn't think I would like it or get it, especially as I don't have a VR headset. But I tried it a couple of weeks ago after MVP Summit, and after making a mess of getting in there and not figuring out how to get off mute or figure out who anyone was that came up to me and talked to me and how to navigate around, I was, this is great. I'm getting the hang of this, and it's really, really cool. It is kind of like being in in a party without actually being there. So I would definitely encourage you to give it a try after Teams Nation and see what you think of it. It's really strange. And when you get in there, I know that Vescu and Ali from Microsoft are going to be acting as moderators and greeters, because when I first went into that one, Ali was like, "Hey Peter, welcome," and greeting and sort of trying to guide you around a bit. So there's always someone to help you figure out your way around. But once you get into it, it's super fun.
I must try it.
Yeah,
definitely. But
so how does that work for those of us that haven't been involved with it? Is it like a Second Life thing, insofar as you've got this little avatar that walks around talking to people?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Interesting. And
yeah, pretty much. Because you've got hands but no arms, or so there's bits of you missing. You've got a head and a torso and hands, but that's about it, I think, from what I can recall.
So it's like a little platform video game character kind of
yeah
thing.
Yeah. And I made a version of myself that it's hard to get yourself looking as accurate as you think you look, as you'd like to, and the only hair that I could find that worked on me was actually was girls' hair. That actually looked most like my hair at the moment. So so that's what I've got, which is fine as long as it looks like me. Oh, fantastic. But talking like this just makes you realize how great this community is that we belong to actually is. It's unique. I've not come across anything quite like it. And what I'd like to ask you, Karoliina, is what would you say to someone who might be thinking about becoming active in this community of ours, or even trying to become a Microsoft MVP? How would they go about that? And would you encourage them to do that?
Of course, I would encourage everybody to be active in the community, and I think maybe the biggest tip would be that do what you love. So do what you have a passion for, and at first it may seem that you have a passion for a bit of everything, but when you, for example, start writing posts in LinkedIn or start writing blog posts, can you deep dive into something? For example, first I was interested in like pretty much everything around Teams and everything around Teams user adoption. And now for example, I don't write blog posts. I have said I don't do that because I don't have the time. I focus on more being in conferences, or for example, you could focus on some certain topic, for example, around Power Apps or Power Apps adoption, and not the whole Microsoft 365 world. So maybe the second tip would be that have kind of focus, but it will come within time. So you don't have to be scared that you are not able to know everything about everything, because that's the power of a community. That there is always someone who can answer your questions and tell something if you are not sure, or if you have some question.
Absolutely true. That is so true, and it's reminded me of a really nice lady who's an MVP. She's in South Africa, and I cannot remember her name for the life of me. But she has a great saying, which is, "I don't know everything, but I know everyone who does." And
Tracy?
That is Tracy. Thank you.
Tracy.
That's Tracy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew you'd know as soon as I mentioned the phrase, because she says it all the time, and I love that. And I want to steal that, because it's so true. Because everyone in the community is just willing to help, and you can learn from them. And I've learned so much from the amazing people in this community. It's so fantastic. It really is. But I've forgotten whose turn it is. Rue, is it me or you?
I don't know. I will just pick up on it, though, because I remember I've been in IT now for just shy of 10 years, and I remember coming out and getting my first job in tech support, and feeling kind of anxious insofar as you realize very quickly how little you know, and also how much you don't know, and that can be quite intimidating. And I remember a fella in the company at the time, and he kind of said, "Just tell them you don't know." And I was like, "What? That's great. No, I'm not going to do that." But you kind of start wrestling with it, and it becomes kind of powerful, just having the ability to say, "I don't know," and that's it. And yet I guess you could follow that by saying, but I know someone that does know, or I will find out. But it kind of, I don't know, I always just found it quite a a nice thing to fall back on as far as just saying, I don't know. And I realize that this is kind of just rambling on a little bit. But I think there's such a pressure on folks to kind of have that thing, like, someone comes to you, one, maybe you're a consultant, so I'm paying you a fair amount of money to tell me the answers, or two, you're an intern or an IT person. How can you not know? But there's too much out there, especially now when we're just getting thrown new features and new settings and all this kind of stuff every single month. There's something new to learn. Anyway, that was my turn, Pete. Back to you.
Oh, no problem, no problem. But one thing I want to pick up on a little bit, it's not in the, so I'll surprise you here because I didn't, it's one of the pre-prepared questions, but one thing I've had a little bit lately is almost the feeling of slight burnout from doing maybe one too many events, because sometimes they come thick and fast, and you'll sign up to speak at user groups and conferences, and some get accepted, some don't. And you go through phases where you're busier than other times, and sessions will get accepted, and before you know it, 1 week, oh, I've actually got 4 or 5 speaking events this week. And I felt a little bit of speaking fatigue lately, I must admit. And I have had to pull out, regrettably, of a few events for personal and work reasons recently. Have you found the same? Have you found that that's something that hits you? And do you find a balance for that?
Yeah. I really like speaking at live events, because I really miss the human interaction and the response from the audience and questions from the audience, and all of that is missing from online events. Of course, you can have Q&A and chat in the online events, but it's not the same. I want the live interaction, and I've also had this fatigue a bit. So, for example, I haven't applied for so many events, for example, this spring, as I could have. So I have intentionally missed out some events, and I really hope in the autumn maybe we can have some live things as well. So it will be nice again.
It certainly will. There's a couple planned in the UK this year that will be sort of part in person, part virtual, if the pandemic allows, fingers crossed. But we have Comsverse coming up in September, and South Coast Summit in October, which are at the moment going to be in person. So fingers crossed. I don't know do you have any in Finland that have been announced particularly that might be in person, or nothing like that just yet?
At the moment, no, but we are thinking about, as soon as we are able to, we will have our Teams Community Finland event, live or a hybrid, in maybe in September, if everything works out.
Oh, fingers crossed. I hope that comes to pass, shall we say. But awesome. One thing I'll shift gear a little bit here, and on this show, we Rue and myself are big allies of our wonderful females in tech. And what we'd like to ask you is, as a female in tech yourself, where do you feel that we are right now in terms of gender parity within women in tech and in the community? Are we doing enough to support and encourage women and girls to pursue a career in tech? And what more can we all do, in your opinion, to be allies to our amazing women in tech?
Of course, I'm a bit. What's the real word? I have it all good, because I'm in Finland, and Finland is one of the best countries in the world for equality and stuff. But I know the situation is not the same everywhere else in the world, and I think that, for example, we have this girls go code thing community in Finland. I think you have similar communities all around the world. Yeah. So those could be very nice things if you are a girl and thinking about a career in IT or a career in coding. So those kind of things would be very, very nice things and easy things to get involved in. And I would also like to point out that maybe girls think as technology that you have to be a developer or you have to be a coder. And for example, I don't know anything about being a developer. I don't code anything, but I'm in tech and I do everything that revolves around tech and Microsoft. So it's not only like short-sighted to look on like for example only the developer part of technology, but you can think about career and women in tech in very much wider view as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. There are, and I'm the same. I'm not a developer or a coder, never have been, never will be. It terrifies me that. But the platform that we're working in at the moment is so good for all of us to develop our skills and learn. And low code, no code, power platform, all that sort of stuff is really, really exciting. But no, I think looking at the community in general and MVPs. For example, I think there is still a bit of a disparity between male and female MVPs. I think that maybe is just historically because of certain genders historically have gravitated towards certain jobs, but we need to do more to encourage women and girls to realize that they can have a career in tech and they don't have to be deep level programmers or developers. There's lots of opportunities. There's lots of things that all genders can do within tech, and we need to support that and promote awareness about it. And there's lots of good groups out there now as well. I mean, the Women in Teams community, which has been going for a while now with the wonderful Laurie Pottmeyer and at Microsoft. Yay, absolutely. I really don't do that very well. I really need to learn. And I know Kathy Moyer at Microsoft as well. She has a monthly get together as well. If you're listening, Kathy, I do apologize. I can't remember the name of your group, but we will find that and put it in the show notes. So anyone watching or listening can go on and find those great groups. Fantastic. So I think we're starting to come towards the end, and I'm very conscious that we don't want to take up too much of your valuable time today, and we do appreciate you giving that to us. But would you like to sort of tell us a bit about what you like to do in your spare time? What do you like to do when you switch off from work and community, if indeed you do?
Yeah, of course. During these times, pretty much nothing. But if you would think about the normal situation, so I go to the gym. I walk a lot. At the moment when the gyms are closed, I run outside, but I like hate running. But yeah, I train. I go bouldering, like climbing indoors.
Oh, wow.
That's
Awesome.
fun.
Cool.
That's fun. That's cool.
Yeah.
And I like to travel when it was possible. Maybe later on this year again. And I like to read. I read. I like actual books, like not e-books or anything, like actual books.
Fantastic. What sort of books do you like to read?
Like pages and everything. Basically like pretty popular books, like nothing. Mostly fiction, like popular American, European, Finnish fiction.
Fantastic. Well, there's a lot of out there to choose from, and I think a lot of sort of physical books and things like that are coming back and becoming more popular again, aren't there? And like old vinyl record players, for example, as well. All the old stuff's coming back around and coming back in fashion again. But
it's just nice to feel the pages and flick through a real book and just grab it and hold it and stick notes in it and all that kind of thing. Definitely. I do have a question, just thinking back to, you mentioned earlier how you're able to shut off of their professional career over the weekend and things like that. And to me, the discipline that must take is staggering to me, because I'm the opposite. I just can't. And it's bad, but every half hour at least, I just glance at the phone and scroll for about 5 minutes and then boom, put it away. And I know it's a bad habit. How did you have to decide to do that? Did you have to kind of fight that bad habit, or has that always been something you've been able to do? I
have to decide it like actively, but also, for example, I don't have any notifications on my mobile phone. Like I get phone calls and I get WhatsApp messages, but all the other notifications are off. So my phone isn't like blinging all the time, but hey, go and look at Instagram or go and look at Teams. So that helps, I think.
Yeah, good show. And I get, because it's funny because I've read so many books about this kind of stuff, but I'm still desperate and I'm still hopeless at it. And one of the books just on the subject of books that I would recommend is, I believe it's by a guy called Cal Newport, and it's called Deep Work, and it talks about the ability to just switch off at the weekend. And he actually makes the point that people are generally more productive if they do just set aside, here's the period in which I'm going to work, and here's the period at which is my personal time, and that's my downtime. The idea being that you get more energy into your work if you do set it apart. So that's just something that I'm struggling with at the minute, and it's definitely not made any easier by the lockdowns.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, I think lockdown has definitely been a big impact on all of us in that regard. I think none of us are making sort of normal decisions that we would do in these strange old times we find ourselves in. But fingers crossed. Hopefully, we're coming towards the right end of the pandemic now. I really hope so, because it would be so nice to get back to some sort of normality and see people again. So, Karoliina, wonderful to have you with us. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us today before we finish off?
It's been a pleasure to be here. It's always nice to see people even on video and have talk like these, because of course without live encounters these are so rare and precious at the moment as well. So thank you for having me today.
Totally agree. Thanks for joining us. And I guess, do you have, I believe you're speaking at Teams Nation coming up, so just to see if you could let folks know what you're going to be talking about there, and then also how can they find you online?
Oh yeah, of course. So Teams Nation is next week, and I have 3 sessions in Teams Nation because I have my own session, and my own session is about how to ensure the feeling of belongingness and how to empower people when we are working remotely. So all about that employee experience and Viva insights and that super cool stuff. And also we have another session with our ACM Teams Europe user group. So our adaptation and change management focused user group. We are talking about how to make Teams home for everyone. And then we have our Finnish Teams Community Finland user group, but it's in Finnish. So we are talking about meeting habits in Finnish. So it's on the 12th of May next week. So welcome there. Super cool author sessions as well, not only mine.
Oh, we can't wait for it. We're all looking forward to Teams Nation, one of the best events of the year. So looking forward to it massively. Fantastic. Well, we'll put all your Twitter and how people can reach you and what you're speaking about in the show notes for this wonderful episode 5 that we've had. I've enjoyed immensely talking to you, Karoliina. It's been lovely for you to join us. Rue, thank you, my partner in crime, as always. I froze there. I didn't really freeze. I had an actual freeze. We'll not edit that out because we like to keep it real. I literally just had a complete freeze moment. I don't know what happened there, but it's made everyone laugh, so that's good. I'm here to entertain. So thanks for joining us. Rue, do you want to sign it off, as I'm not capable of doing so?
Yes, sure. I'll let you defrost when I sign this out. So thanks, everyone, for joining us for episode 5. We'll see you soon. Thanks, Karoliina, for joining us.
Thank you.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks all. Take care. Bye.